Hey, hello and welcome everyone to a special, very special episode of the CAL FIRE Office of the State Fire Marshal's webinar series where we will focus on 4th of July safety. My name is Kara Garrett and I will be the moderator of this series. Okay, the webinar itself will last about an hour and it will be recorded. Please type any questions into the Q&A portion of your screen. After our featured speakers have completed their presentations, we will be holding a question and answer session. Should you encounter any issues, please do not hesitate to give me a call at 916-201-5539 or send me an email at kara.garrett@fire.ca.gov. I also typed all of this in the chat. To get us started, we have State Fire Marshal Daniel Berlant here to say a few words. So I'll go ahead and kick it over to Chief Daniel Berlant. Go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, thanks, Kara. And first off, thank you all for taking the time today to learn more about illegal fireworks. Our message, though, is simple. Illegal fireworks in California are unacceptable, and we have a zero tolerance towards them. However, in just about 300 local jurisdictions, those communities have decided to allow the use of state-approved consumer safe and sane fireworks the week before the 4th of July and just a couple days after. So it is so important to understand the laws relating to fireworks, but also more importantly, to practice just good overall fire safety as part of your Independence Day celebration. So with that, I'll just kick it right over to our team. And as we get near the 4th, I hope you have a great 4th of July and just hope you have a good fire safe day. But Kara, back to you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. All right, so now we have two members of our Arson and Bomb Unit that we are very excited to have present to all of you. First, I will have Nick Schroeder introduce himself, and then Charlie Elder, and then Nick Schroeder will take it away with the whole presentation with Charlie as well sprinkled in. So Nick, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to Charlie.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. My name is Nick Schroeder. I'm an arson and bomb investigator stationed out of Southern California with Charlie Elder. We're going to cover some of the 4th of July stuff. If there is questions or you need our contact info at the end of the slide, we'll make sure we get that out to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlie Elder. I'm obviously Nick's partner. Looking forward to this.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. So now let's get started. Go ahead, Nick.
So as Chief Berlant did mention, we do allow for the use of consumer product, what we call safe and sane fireworks. Part of that safe and sane is that every one of those safe and sane fireworks has been tested extensively by our fireworks program coordinator. And what that means is any new company that wants to develop a new firework is going to have to notify our office. We are going to test that firework to make sure it is safe and sane, and it's going to fall into the conforms of our Title 19 regulations. So one of the huge things for us is if it doesn't have our State Fire Marshal seals you see before you, right on top of the register would say safe and sane or dangerous. If there's a dangerous firework such as an aerial mortar for a public display, but where it says the CSFM registration, that's actually going to be unique to that individual company, and that'll be a letter with a hyphen followed by 3 or 4 numbers. What you can use that for is go onto GovModus, do a verify a license, and we actually verify if that safe and sane firework is approved as an importer exporter, or it can be quickly disputed as maybe a fraudulent safe and sane stamp. So maybe there is a company out there that wants to be fraudulent, and you go onto GovModus and check it, and it's not correct. Then you can call our program manager, you can call our duty chief line, and we'll go ahead and start that investigation. We'll go into the next slide, please, Kara. So a little bit, as I mentioned before, that cross-reference registration, different companies will have these different numbers. So where that says that CSFM registration number, I/E1080, that'd be known to us as Importer Exporter 1080 for American Promotional Events Incorporated. When you continue down to Phantom Fireworks for the Western region, Importer Exporter 517. All of these companies are going to have products that are approved through us. So you're never going to see a random company with no name and no State Fire Marshal seal that is ever going to be deemed a safe and sane firework. If that does happen, please contact the Fireworks Program Coordinator or contact us here at anyone in the Fire Engineering Investigations Division. Next slide, please. So when we do our Safe and Sane booths, those registrations and those applications are going to go out months in advance. They're not happening now. What's going to happen is they're going to be licensed through our Fireworks program coordinator, and then they're going to get ongoing certification and permit and inspection through you as the fire marshals or you as the authority having jurisdiction. Part of a good Safe and Sane booth inspection, on top of looking at our license, your own city's permits and insurance requirements, but also checking that product that's inside that Safe and Sane booth. If you have product that does not bear the Safe and Sane registered State Fire Marshal seal, then we're going to have to check that. There is a possibility that things could be cross-loaded, whether it's at a manufacturer's site or via transport, where you have a Safe and Sane that somehow winds up into another company's items. That is a possibility, only for the fact that quality control sometimes isn't the best a couple of thousand miles away. So there is a possibility that you might have someone else's Safe and Sane products mixed in with someone else's Safe and Sane products, or they may have kept stuff from previous years and used a different booth. Whatever the case may be, let's look to see if that Safe and Sane registration number, that State Fire Marshal seal, is appropriate. If it doesn't appear appropriate, try to call that firework stand, whether it's Phantom, TNT, to name a few, American promotional events. They usually have a 24-hour toll-free number. If they don't, we're going to reach out to the Fire Engineering Division's fireworks program staff. Number is at 916-568-2943. If it comes back to be that none of these items are in fact licensed, any firework that doesn't have our State Fire Marshal seal is actually considered dangerous firework and shall be seized with the authority of the State Fire Marshal. And again, that's probably a lot of questions. So if there is questions that come up upon that, please put them in the chat. We'll get to them in the back end. Snap caps and party poppers, they are classified as usually what we call a novelty item. They're pyrotechnic devices. Yes, there are pyrotechnics in them, but they are not considered fireworks for purposes of licensing. They could be sold year-round. You can see them at multiple different stores. You'll see them outside that Safe and Sane sale period at Target, at Costco, wherever the case may be, just name it. They still have to be registered within the state of California, though. So again, as you see, even on that Party Snaps box, there's a little seal down in that left-hand corner. That's the State Fire Marshal seal. And right behind that little snap cap would be the number in which you would check to see if that is verified. If that is not verified, it would be considered a dangerous firework within the state of California. The snap caps and party poppers that are not approved in any sort of fashion, you'll see them as adult snappers or the mandarins. These things are what we call friction initiated or fuseless firecrackers. The dangerous part about these is it does not require the act of putting a flame to some sort of wick. Where it's dangerous in this is if you do have hundreds of pounds of fireworks or whatever the case may be, or you have fireworks, Safe and Sane fireworks that have these unknowingly mixed into them, just the pure pressure of stepping on them can cause them to go off. And when that happens, we'll create a spark and it'll send some debris flying. What that spark can do, though, either lead to a catastrophic event or could start a fire of some sort. These are dangerous, oftentimes are overlooked and dismissed as just snappers, but through some of our testing, we have noted that these are very dangerous and should not be out there in any way, shape, or form. So one thing that's important about our fireworks laws and regulations, and one that has come up a lot, is that a firework is a very specific term when it comes to a pyrotechnic device. It's not to be confused with our explosive laws that the State Fire Marshal is also in charge of, or destructive device laws that the state also controls. The fireworks are a consumer product that is authorized and produced for sale within the United States through the Consumer Product Safety Commission, and then ultimately In California, we've exceeded those limits of the California, Consumer Product Safety Commission. So what that means is we say, yes, we recognize the Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, but we're also going to add additional requirements. And our additional requirements that we require is that safe and sane stamp, because we're going to limit the amount of height of sparks. We're going to say there's no aerial shells. We're also going to say that our fireworks aren't tipping over, and we're also going to say they're self-extinguishing. Some of these other products that you see that are still legal within the rest of the United States that are what we consider dangerous fireworks in California, they would actually be reigniting after a certain amount of time. They would leave sparks that go 20, 30, 40 feet. Because it's an aerial shell, there's a propensity for that item to tip over or cause other items to tip over. And in California, under the Title 19 Code of Regulations, we've said we do not want those. Move forward. So one of the big aspects, and I see some of the participants here are from our industry, which I thank you guys for being here, is we work with our American Pyrotechnic Association, CPSC, as we mentioned before, our Western Pyrotechnic Association, and we seek input quite regularly through what we call the General Fireworks Advisory Committee, shortened up to be the GFAC. We seek the input if we are trying to change some of these regulations on how these items are built. They meet quite regularly. It's a very open room of dialogue, and a lot of these industry partners from these different companies have an open dialogue with the State Fire Marshal to help develop these regulations, which will ultimately give both the business and the state an equal playing ground and equal room for them to come and have this input. There's not many other entities within the state that allow for the changing of the frameworks of these regulations as quite often as we do. So we'll obviously talk about the legal side of the safe and sane part, but when we start to move into the illegal or dangerous fireworks aspect, the State Fire Marshal is charged with developing these sections, mainly the 12,000 sections, which covers fireworks and explosives. The 12,000 through 12,761 of the Health and Safety Code is actually going to be our explosives laws. Most of our explosives laws are going to be kicked back down to the authority having jurisdiction for our permits, our applications, and stuff like that. For the pyrotechnic and fireworks chapters, it's going to be retained within the Office of the State Fire Marshal. We, as the Arson and Bomb Unit, are tasked with enforcing all aspects of the Health and Safety Code for explosives and fireworks specifically. So if there is an issue with fireworks and pyrotechnics that are being illegally obtained for the production of an unsanctioned outdoor aerial public display show, then we can do an investigation on that. It'd be a program investigation. If there is an issue with illegal fireworks being transported into the state, we can also be investigating that. When it comes to the explosives, the same Health and Safety Code for someone making homemade explosives and possessing that in bulk is actually going to lie within that explosives realm. Similarly, for people who are employed in active mining and blasting, those are going to be the laws in which they follow. And if there's penalties associated with that, we derive out of that same Health and Safety Code section. What's really kind of took some work on our office and in consultation with that GFAC is SB 277 was a law that we helped as an office get passed into state law. Basically, this is going to manage our fireworks disposal operations, and it specifically mentions the Arson and Bomb Unit on what we do on a day-to-day basis of trying to stem illegal importation of fireworks into the state, and also the criminal aspects of those same violations. Excuse me. When we further move into AB 1403, which took effect earlier this year, if you've noticed, any of your 12,700 sections of your health and safety codes have also exceeded their normal standards. So before, a $10,000 fine is now up to a $100,000 fine if someone has more than 5,000 pounds of dangerous fireworks. That's also why we're here today speaking to you more with the webinar series, and we've done classes over the last several weeks, ramping up to our 4th of July, is we're here to teach you both the fire and law enforcement agencies how to investigate, how to enforce, how to safely dispose, how to transport these things. Because a lot of agencies, when you say, oh, we seize fireworks, well, in the grand scheme of things, we see fireworks, and unknowingly, there's going to be explosive violations in there. So we're going to help guide those local agencies, and we're going to say, hey, these are explosives. We're going to take care of these immediately. And these are fireworks, and we're going to store these and wait for an appropriate disposal date through our office. With that in mind, we also are going to bring in different codes to bring us up with NFPA standards. We're going to make sure that everyone who's going out there and doing these inspections, whether it be at the outdoor aerial public display, proximate pyrotechnics, or even on our movie sets here in Hollywood or throughout the state of California, they're going to be going to one of our classes that we teach in-house, and that's for those local AHJs. That's for those movie companies. We have these 3 classes that cycle up and down the state multiple times a year. So that training, coupled with our training where we go out to the different agencies or host webinars, that's all part of what we do in consultation with the GFAC and the State Fire Marshal to better enhance our firework and explosive enforcement as we lead to the 4th of July. Charlie, you want to touch on some illegal fireworks? No, technical issues. So we're going to have some examples of legal fireworks. In the state of California, it is illegal to sell, transport, or use fireworks that do not carry the safe and sane seal. And then comma. So anything prior to that is that if it doesn't have our seal on it, it's a dangerous firework. No questions, no ifs, ands, or buts. And it is illegal to possess or use any fireworks in any community where they are not permitted. So for example, I'm based down here in Riverside County. There is a 0 tolerance for fireworks in Riverside County, and doesn't matter if it is a safe and sane firework, it's not allowed here in those communities, whether it be the city of Riverside, the county of Riverside, can now affect some municipal codes that will dissuade the use of fireworks. Another hypothetical that can come from this is, even though if it carries a safe and sane seal, if it's being used in a community that is not permitted, it could fall in as a dangerous firework. And as I mentioned before, anything that goes into the air, explodes or moves along the ground in an uncontrollable manner, skyrockets, Roman candles, air shells, anything like that is not permitted and is actually a dangerous firework. Next slide, please. Examples of some dangerous fireworks. The one thing I always try to mention to all my classes that I teach, whether it be law enforcement, fire personnel, explosive ordnance disposal groups, or bomb squads, is that these fireworks, although maintained to a standard by the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the quality control standards can't always be 100% accurate. They're not made in the United States of America. They are made more times than not in China, and the quality control cannot be inspected by our office, and it's not going to be truly inspected once it lands here. So it's important to know that some of these wicks, they may advertise, for example, a 3-second ignition wick. Well, that's assuming that that's the exact length of wick needed for 3 seconds. If it's cut short, it's short. If it's cut longer, it's longer. If it got pulled out during its travel from Asia to the port of Long Beach or the port of LA, and it got jostled a little bit, then that's another factor in kind of the unknowing certainty of fireworks. Every year we respond to issues where they are legal fireworks within the United States, they're dangerous fireworks in California, and unfortunately someone does lose their hand, lose a life, limb, or eyesight, and we will do an investigation. We will attempt to trace back where those fireworks that came from. As some of you can see here, these would be Roman candles. Not allowed in California. Again, it does not meet our safe and sane definitions. It is the probably worst thing we want in our wildfire season is to have a device that shoots essentially flaming balls, uncontrollable distance and trajectory. So we don't want them here in California. There might have been a recent news article of someone using these affixed to a helicopter, which we also do not condone any use of pyrotechnics from helicopters in this manner. With anything like this, there's an inherent risk that injury or a fire can occur. And we do not want that, especially during our red flag season. Next slide, please. Moving on to our aerial type devices. These aerial type devices are sold no different anywhere else in the United States. However, they are here in California. They are illegal in California. And more times than not, we can see some very detrimental damage on the inability for some people to follow instructions. If you place one of these mortars or these aerial shells in upside down in the tube or in the wrong way and ignite that mortar, you're going to cause some serious injuries. We see that happen time and time again. There is some arrows delineating which way this go, but nonetheless, we have issues with that. In the top right, you see what we call our cakes. These cakes are multi-shot devices. The bottom about third of these are filled with clay. That's to give it a weight to not tip over to your left and right. However, they have a propensity to ignite or stay lit on fire after their use. So what happens is we'll go out and test these and we'll say, hey, we're gonna light this and see what happens. And uncontrolled, they'll burn for a few minutes. Well, if you go and toss a bunch of those into a trash can, you'll see a fire will ignite quickly thereafter because you still have some very hot components. You have some heavy, not heavy metals, but you have hot items in there to reignite, whether it be plastic or other trash. Or say we toss into some dry grass clippings, we're going to get a fire that starts in the trash can. Myself, for example, I have my trash can next to the eave of my house, and you quickly have a trash can fire that goes into the eave of the house and moves over into the rest of the house. And I would not want that, and I hope no one else would, but we see it year after year, especially leading up to the 4th of July. When we're talking about our firecrackers, similar to what we saw with the fuseless firecrackers, these are commonly referred to as M devices or M100s or M80s. Ultimately, the ones that are here in the United States through the Consumer Product Safety Commission, it could say M2000, M100, M150. It really doesn't matter. They're actually all going to have the similar or same amount of pyrotechnic composition. They're just going to be wrapped in a different case. So for those that aren't in the US or in California, don't be fooled by the decorative wrapping of these. They're all going to have the same amount of pyrotechnic powder. I'm sorry, going back to that one real quick, Kara. The uncontrollable aspect of these is they are usually sold in bigger strips, as you see in the top right or in the bottom left, right there in the middle. It's 4,000 firecrackers. Although individually they have the amount of pyrotechnic powder by themselves, well, they're not sold just by themselves. So when you put 4,000 firecrackers combined like that and then put it into something, there's propensity for flame and spark that's uncontrollable and unpredictable, and we don't want that. So through our office, we try to do as much outreach as we possibly can leading up to the 4th of July. Whether it be attending fire prevention officer meetings or arson task force meetings, providing bomb squad training. We have safety and prevention guides on our website, OSFM website on fire.ca.gov. Our other aspect is our fireworks program. Licenses every fireworks component come into state, whether it be importer, exporter, whether it be the actual item for safe and sane. The only people who should be shooting a fireworks show in California is going to be licensed through our office and is going to have a permit from their local agency. Anything other than that, it's not going to work. To touch on our larger illegal fireworks, investigative and enforcement support, we are out there year round. You may not see us, you may not know what exactly is happening, but I assure you, every day of the year, we are fielding either tips, requests for assistance, or trying to stem illegal fireworks coming into the state of California. And that might be in consultation with the California Department of Justice. It may be in consultation with the United States Attorney's Office. It may be in consultation with a civil aspect of our own agency to stem these items from coming in. We will also do explosives identification. So if there is an issue, if you're a local authority having jurisdiction or you need assistance, here in Southern California, you have the entire fireworks program is based down here for their inspection side. So you have myself and Charlie to deal with the disposal, the dangerous firework enforcement. You have Deputy State Fire Marshal Specialist Caleb Phillips, who does the licensing aspects of this. And then you have Vijay Mapani, who works on motion picture and entertainment safety for the fire industry. We're all trained to identify what dangerous fireworks are. So if there is an issue with fireworks or the identification of fireworks, or we found wrappers, we can give you that expert witness testimony and say, these are dangerous fireworks. This is why, this is how I can prove why, and go on from there. The statewide fireworks seizure and disposal. If you are an AHJ, we have, in last July, we introduced a mobile or electronic version of our fireworks seizure form, which you can find on our website. This allows us to track statewide who has fireworks in that were seized. It could be seized due to a program investigation. So a hypothetical situation is a outdoor aerial public display licensee may be trying to do a show and he doesn't have permits or insurance, and that local fire marshal decides to seize those products. Those would come into us. Another aspect is we may be trying to curb some importation from one of our neighboring states and we seize fireworks. We're going to report those fireworks back to ourselves so we can track those fireworks. And the other aspect is if you are doing your fireworks seizure disposal operations and you report those to us, as much data as you can get into us, as much data as we can push out. And what that helps is when I, myself and my supervisor go to the state fire marshal and say, this is what the trends we are seeing. When we go and talk to local chiefs and fire chiefs and police chiefs, we can say, this is the trend we are seeing. These are the areas where it's most impacted. These are the times they're coming in. Data in from you as the community and mainly the local HJs is largely important. And the last thing on this slide is we want to train and educate the fire service, the law enforcement field, our consumers that use these, whether it be from Warner Brothers Studio, Universal, Disney, whoever is using our pyrotechnic devices in the state of California. We want to get out there and we want to talk to you. We want to make sure you have no questions. There's no ifs, ands, or buts when it comes to fireworks. So we are available to travel to you statewide to produce this training. So if you want us, again, we're coming up to 4th of July for enforcement. If you want us for next year, or unknowingly, if you want us for sometime for a New Year's Eve investigation, we are always available to the fire industry, to law enforcement industry. We will come to you and help get this training going. So as we see, especially here in the Southland, and when I say the Southland, we have quite a few active fires going. Some of these fireworks burn upwards of 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, often putting off sparks or other debris that is also on fire. But they're not safe and sane, they're uncontrollable in direction. And then something we haven't mentioned here, but when we're talking about truly illegal homemade explosive devices that are marketed as fireworks, they are completely uncontrollable with an unknown amount of powder, unknown flight time, unknown direction, and we can see how that could be an issue. When we're talking about our wildfires, the three things we're looking for a wildfire, the fuel, weather, topography. Well, if we introduce our own fuel, whether it be in a firework, and it's a hot day as we were experiencing the last couple of days here in the Southland, the topography really doesn't matter too much because we've provided a lot to it, and those fires are going to go. And regardless if it's a small fire or a large fire, resources from CAL FIRE, from your local agencies, are still going to that fire. There's still going to be an investigation done, and there's still going to be resources that aren't available for another fire or another medical aid or another emergency. So if we can stem the importation of fireworks, in theory, we can provide a better service for the citizens of California by not distracting from our overall fire protection obligations. California is a unique geographic area. It's a desert. We had a lot of rain this year. This past year, it has been very hot. We have had some low humidity days, and as we're seeing up in the Gorman Pass, almost 11,000 acres in a day. I'm not saying that was caused by fireworks whatsoever. However, the unique climate of California allows for these fires to grow rapidly. We don't want to introduce fireworks as being a cause to that. So if we can stem the use of fireworks, then we can stem the use of maybe one or two of these large fires. We already talked about consumer fireworks that don't meet our safe and sane standards. We don't like them in California because it increases the risk of that fire. Illegal fireworks has had a rise in the last several years during civil disobedience, riots, and protests. Why that's important is a lot of people don't realize that these fireworks are designed in certain and unique ways. As you see in the foreground of our picture here, that is an aerial shell that is supposed to be launching 100 to 150 feet in the air. And it's designed to be up in the air because that's where it's going to function as designed. When that doesn't go into the air and it's just put onto the ground, you're actually modifying or changing the way those fireworks are supposed to be functioning as designed. And what that does is causes things that would normally burn out not be burnt out. It would cause an impact or pressure overwave coming from those fireworks. Now, in the use for protests and civil disobedience, it can be used to injure fire personnel or law enforcement personnel, because the pressures being exhibited from these fireworks can cause serious injury or sometimes death. If we think it creates a loud sound in the sky, I would not want that loud sound directly in my face. The year-round illegal online sales, we have run across instances where some of these fireworks are sometimes being shipped in the mail throughout the United States. And that's not fair to other citizens. It's not fair to the businesses that are doing this legally and lawfully. It's not fair to the letter carrier that may have to carry these things unknowingly. And it's unsafe. I'll touch on this a little bit. The involvement of organized crime or gangs. There is a steep fine for bringing these fireworks into the state of California. Anything over 100 pounds would be considered a felony crime in the state of California. They haven't been touched by a lot of these different realignments of prosecution. However, their civil fines have also increased. So they may tend to change a charge. However, we are going to try to do some civil cost recovery, or we're going to try to use the 12,700 Health and Safety Code section for a $100,000 fine if they're bringing in that many pounds of fireworks. Obviously, we don't want criminal organizations making money off a product that's not allowed in California anyways, because then that also distracts from our safe and sane businesses, our nonprofits that are opening our safe and sane booths. It's really detrimental to the citizens of the state of California. And then the last two things, the fireworks have been directly linked to the manufacturing of illegal explosives. There's acts of terrorism. Unfortunately, safe and sane fireworks do contain pyrotechnic or explosive powders. There is some bad actors in the United States that will take these powders and put them into something else and cause whatever ill will they want to inflict on innocent bystanders. So if we can at least decrease that coming into California, then I think we're also keeping the rest of the state safe. But at the bottom line of it is that we want to keep fires caused by fireworks at a zero. So if you see us out there and we were doing firework enforcement, there is going to be a zero tolerance from us, because we don't want to continue these fires. We don't want to have massive complements of fire engines and those things responding for something that is illegally in our state. So if a firework starts a fire, I can assure you we are going to find you, and we will either arrest you or you are going to be on the hook for the cost of that fire. Local agencies promote the wildfire prevention methods. As we go throughout the year, we talk about our different webinars. We talk about our community wildfire preparedness and mitigation division. We talk about defensible space. We talk about creating your go bag. All those things are super important to us because unfortunately not everyone listens to every law that's on the books. So if we can harden our home, we have fire smart landscape. If you can't see out your front window like I can right now, and there's big dead weeds in there, please cut those down, because if one of your neighbors in the next couple of weeks lights a firework and it goes into your yard, or it's a Safe and Sane firework that tips over for some unknown reason and lights your yard on fire, that's going to be an issue. Getting your wildfire action plans in place. If you're in a community where you are at risk for fires and you don't have that plan in place, please get that in place. Make sure your family's prepared. Make sure your animals are prepared. As we saw the last couple of days, a fire was going towards an equestrian center. So that's another consideration. If you have large animals you have to remove, you have cats or dogs. If you have cats, good luck getting cats into a crate and on the road in a timely manner. Just good luck on that. But have everything ready, because you don't know when someone is going to have ill will or use a firework or whatever the case may be. You may do everything you can do and not use your own fireworks, but that doesn't prevent your neighbor or some other party goer who's coming to a street and, hey, I brought this stuff from out of state and it lands in your yard, and now you have to deal with a fire in your yard or fire at your house. So zero tolerance, like I mentioned before, we are going to be zero tolerance when it comes to firework enforcement. So if our agency, specifically us in the Arson and Bomb Unit, if we see you doing this, then of course we are going to more than likely arrest you. There's zero tolerance for us in the Arson and Bomb Unit. Other things we will be out there doing business inspections. If you are selling stuff, or if there's people selling stuff in the back of a pickup truck next to a Safe and Sane booth, I assure you we are going to find you, and we will seize that product, and you're going to probably be taking a trip in some new handcuffs. We're going to touch on undercover stings. There's people out there right now looking for undercover or doing undercover operations to stem the illegal sales of fireworks. As a city and a local AHJ, let's promote our public displays. Let's make a good, safe space. Get hired professional licensees to come out and shoot a public display show and really be there for the community. Next slide, please. So as you see, this is one of our storage sites, and this would be a routine, what we call intake into our one of our storage sites. This is roughly 40,000 pounds of illegal fireworks. As you see, we're trying to stem the importation. We do manage this through our, as we talked about in SB 277, we do manage this. Some of it is shipped out for destruction. Some of it is shipped out and utilized by us to actually do in-person training and development classes. We allow it for training for mobile field force teams, Orange County Sheriff's Department. I've seen them use it to get their mounted unit desensitized to the sounds of fireworks. So there's some things we can do with fireworks, but other than that, that's ultimately what they're going to end up looking like at the end of the day. But if I can add like maybe one thing right towards the end of this is that we do not want illegal fireworks out in the state of California. I want everyone to have a good, safe 4th of July. I want everyone to start their day with the same amount of fingers and end their day with the same amount of fingers. And if we can do that by calling our local authorities, going to those outdoor aerial public display shows hosted throughout the region, that's what we want to do. Again, I've mentioned a lot of different things. Some of it is here in the chat with us today. The Arson and Bomb Unit does belong to the Fire Engineering and Investigations Division. We're commonly referred as OSFM, FE&I. What's important about that is where the General Fireworks Advisory Committee sits. That's where the chair of it sits, as well as the different programs, whether it be motion pictures or the fireworks program. We're all within the same division. So we're all working together to stem this problem. Specifically, the Arson and Bomb Unit is the forward-facing criminal investigation unit that is tasked with doing illegal investigation or investigations into illegal fireworks sales. And lastly, our seized fireworks reporting form. If you are a local authority having jurisdiction, or if you're a federal partner that's somehow listening to this, please report your fireworks. Good data in is good data out. At the end of the year, when we can combine all of our data and say, this is the snapshot for the state of California. This is how much we took in. This is how much is being disposed of. This is how much 1.4 fireworks we have out there. This is how much homemade fireworks we had. Excuse me, not homemade fireworks, homemade explosives we had out there. That's huge for you as a jurisdiction to go to your fire chief and your city council or your county supervisors and say, this is what we did. This is what the rest of the state did. So if you need those numbers, please contact us here at Fire Engineering or the Arson and Bomb Unit.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. That was fabulous. Everyone give a little virtual round of applause for Nick. That was awesome. All right. So now I will turn it over to our next presenter, Rebecca Alessandri, to introduce herself and to share more information about 4th of July safety and burn injury statistics. So go ahead, Rebecca. I'll let you share your screen.
Thanks, Kara. I totally forgot I was sharing my screen. Give me one sec. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rebecca Alessandri. I'm the Fire and Burn Prevention Coordinator with the Firefighters Burn Institute. And I'm going to go over firework safety and burn prevention with some firework-related statistics. So first, why is this important? Burn injuries continue to be one of the leading causes of accidental death and injury in the United States. Even illegal fireworks can be dangerous, as we talked about earlier. Firework-related fires, injuries, and deaths are avoidable and preventable. Today, about 96.8% of anyone who suffers a burn injury from a burn injury in general will survive. But unfortunately, these survivors will have long-term effects such as scarring, lifelong disabilities, and lifelong altering adjustments to their day-to-day lives. So we're going to start getting into some national statistics first. In 2022, there was an estimated 10,200 fireworks-related emergency department treated injuries. Those are the ones that got treated in the ERs. The trend shows that there's been an increase of 535 injuries each year since 2007. And there's your chart there. So within a month time span from June 17, 2022 to July 17, 2022, there was a total of 7,400 injuries treated in the emergency room. That's just within that 30-day time frame. Males account for 65% of the injuries. And then this chart here shows the percentage of injuries by age group. So if you look at that chart, you can see that more than half of the injuries are of people under the age of 25. Also, children under the age of 5 account for 29% of sparklers-related injuries in that age group. So based on these national statistics, we can see that adolescents and young children, particularly males, remain still at the highest risk for firework-related injuries. Some more national statistics. These are the body regions that are injured within that month timeframe, that June 17th, 2022 to July 17th, 2022. Typically, the injuries are hands and fingers, followed by head, face, and ear, and then lower extremities. And this has been consistent over the last 10 years as well. So now we're going to go into some local Northern California statistics. Last year in 2023, Sac Metro Fire responded to approximately 130 fires and multiple burn victims related to fireworks on July 4th. So that was just that day. UC Davis Hospital emergency room consults related to firework injuries for the last 4 years. I've got those statistics. 2020, they saw 3, 2021, 5. 2022, 2 patients, and 2023, 6 patients. These patients were seen in the emergency room only. They were not admitted to an inpatient unit. And then the inpatient consults for the last 4 years, 2020, they had 0, 2021, 3, 2022, 1, and then in 2023, they had 3 inpatient consults. These are patients that were admitted to UC Davis Hospital with firework burn-related injuries, but burn surgery was not the primary service caring for those injuries. At Shriners Hospital, Shriners Children's Hospitals, the statistics they had for me were there was 33 cases in the last 10 years. The average age of the child was 10 years. Most of the burns were 3rd-degree burns, and they mostly required skin grafting. So again, there are probably many more cases that have been seen in the emergency room or admitted, but they were categorized in different, they could have been in different units in the hospital. So now I'm going to go over some fireworks safety tips with you guys. First, children should never handle or use any fireworks at any time, including sparklers. Sparklers can reach up to 1200 degrees, which is 30 degrees more than it takes to melt glass. And I've got that chart over there. Always consider using safer options such as glow sticks, the confetti poppers, streamers instead of fireworks. If you are using fireworks at home, make sure that your children are kept a safe distance away. Some more fireworks safety tips. Fireworks should always be used outdoors. Read those caution labels that are on the fireworks. You know how to use them. Never attempt to alter any fireworks. The same thing with the labels. You want to make sure, we talked about that earlier, that they're State Fire Marshal approved, safe and sane fireworks. Never relight a dud firework. So if it doesn't work, don't try to do it again. Make sure that you have a hose and bucket available, and that you're soaking all of your fireworks in water overnight in a metal container. Never hold, point, or throw fireworks at another person. And for the fireworks that you're soaking, you want to make sure all of them get put in there, including ones that didn't go off, so those dud fireworks. And of course, yes, never hold, point, or throw fireworks at another person. So what we always like to recommend is to leave the show to the pros. So instead of risking injury or death, we always recommend that families attend public fireworks displays, leave fireworks to the trained professionals, and always watch from a safe distance. So now we'll go into what to do if you do get burned. So if you do get burned, it's recommended that you cool the burn under cool running water for at least 20 minutes. This is going to help prevent scarring and also provide some pain relief. This helps the burn heal more quickly and prevent less scarring. If the burn is the size of the person's hand, so whoever the person is to get burned, if it's the size of their hand, then you need to seek treatment immediately. Do not apply any topical ointments or creams or use any of those Google remedies you're Googling. Never use any of those that you Google. Whenever you're in doubt, always seek treatment. And that is actually all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you guys about firework safety and some statistics there. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Perfect. Thank you, Rebecca. All right, I'll go ahead and get mine going once more. Perfect. Okay, so now we will go ahead and take some questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and use the raise hand feature, and I will be choosing you in the order that you have raised your hand. So we will be going through our panelists to answer those questions. But I did want to flag that we got some Q&As coming into the box, and one of the main ones is, are we going to be posting this online after the fact? And yes, so after this presentation concludes, we will be saving this recording onto YouTube. It will be live later today, and then we will be posting the recording as well as all of the slides on our website as well. So now go ahead and raise your hand if you have any questions. We have about 10 minutes left, so plenty of time. All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds. Now's your chance. This is huge, especially having Nick and Charlie on here. Okay, perfect. Dennis Ravel, go ahead.
When will the official approved list be posted on the State Fire Marshal website?
Good question. Nick, do you want to answer that one? Do you know?
Yeah, Mr. Ravel, I'll get with VJ or Caleb today on that and have them get it back to you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? All right. Well, seeing none, I hope you all have a wonderful and safe 4th of July. And we will leave it off to say, please subscribe to all Office of the State Fire Marshal updates, including this webinar series. We have some big webinars coming up later in July and August, so stay tuned for more information on that. And thank you. Have a safe 4th of July. Thank you, everyone.